TFON podcast featuring JT Smith. And today, guys, the Bearcats are going against UCF on Saturday. 2-0 in the Big 12 Bearcats will be facing a familiar rival. So I'm bringing on familiar guests. If you guys have been listening to the podcast last few years, my guy Andrew has been on the pod a lot. So just want to have a warm welcome to Andrew Gluchov of the UCF Night Zone site, and also Locked On UCF. Man, he's a big guest on there. So, Drew, man, how you doing today?
Oh man, I'm doing better than the football team is. I'll tell you that much.
It's been rough, man. So, in general, did you think this team was going to, be in a position they're in right now, or was it kind of like a coin flip kind of season for them?
Well, I expected them to be 3-2 at this point, but the truth is the team should be 4-1. They had Kansas on the ropes. They had a chance of really putting them away early, but this is a team that beat themselves. They had the home field, and they had an epic collapse in the third quarter this past Saturday against the Jayhawks, where they had a whopping -1 yards of offense. But on the flip side, they shut down Kansas in the fourth quarter at a whopping 12 yards of offense, had the ball at the 1 yard line, and in 3 attempts, UCF couldn't score to tie the game. So they should be 4-1. They're 3-2, but those 3 wins are against such soft teams. It's a bit of like a fool's gold record. So 3-2 is really a fair assessment of where they should be. It's just that 3 is just, you almost have to put an asterisk next to it because they played some really bad teams.
So with the loss, you lose a tough game like that. Like, where do you feel like the vibe is of the team, just from being a part of the media down there?
Well, they're surprisingly very cognizant of what went wrong, and like the offensive line has had run blocking issues all year. This is nothing new, which is the surprise of why the play call was what it was. UCF lost their starting quarterback from the game, Taven Jackson, midway through, and then Cam Fancher, who actually started the season as QB1, got knocked out the first half of the first game, came back, and they couldn't find really any consistency. But the play calls to have Fancher trying to run it in at the 1 when you have an offensive line that's just having trouble with any explosiveness, a bit of a head scratcher. I mean, it seems like the stuff that dogged Scott Frost in 1-score games at Nebraska has followed him back to Orlando, because this is a team that just does not know how to win close games against tough teams.
All right. So after you guys play UC, win all you want, but hopefully he doesn't have any kind of magic potion where they start, learn how to win in the fourth quarter. We don't want that. So you talked about the quarterback injury. Is that something that will who do you think will be at the helm on Saturday against UC?
Well, it looked really bad, but according to Frost after the game, X-rays were negative. It's kind of touch and go at this point. I would be planning for Cam Fancher at this point. Jackson actually hurt his shoulder the previous week against Kansas State, and Kansas State just absolutely mauled the backfield of UCF. Fancher got hurt. He had to leave part of the game that game. I'm sorry, Jackson got hurt. He came back. Fancher didn't play at all because he was still kind of beating the rust off of missing multiple weeks. And then Jakari Brown was in there, and he got hit pretty hard at the end of the first half. He played a little bit in the second half, got replaced, but he didn't dress at all for this past week against Kansas. So if I'm the Cincinnati coaching staff, I would expect Cam Fancher probably has the inside track to start, because he's in the best physical condition out of all the 3 quarterbacks. But the interesting thing is these 3 quarterbacks are very, very different. Brown is all run, no pass. And he's an incredible runner. Then you have Jackson, who's really like the dink and dunker. And then Cam Fancher, who just kind of runs around. And in the case of last week against Kansas, I mean, he Harry Houdini'd his way out of a number of big losses and turned them into gains. It was kind of what UCF needed at the time, but it's like a heart attack on a plate, and you're waiting for something to go horribly wrong.
All right, so you get clarified the quarterback position, and you got somebody that can do something good on every type of skill level. The running game is somebody that's been leading it. It's somebody that the Bearcat fans know very well. They've been paying attention, of course. Miles Montgomery, he's the guy. So give us a breakdown on how great Miles has played this year, and also who are the other guys that the Bearcats defense, if the quarterback is able to make plays, they need to be watching out for on Saturday.
Well, Miles Montgomery's great. This is a great kid, good head in his shoulders. He's really the heart and soul of this offense. He's a team captain. He was a great change of pace back last year for RJ Harvey. Going into fall camp, I thought he was going to maintain that change of pace back position, but no, he's the number one guy now, and it's been hot and cold, but it's not his fault. This is an offensive line issue. You're rarely going to have a guy like an RJ Harvey who can really create his own opportunities, which is what they needed last year. Montgomery can do it to a much lesser extent. Last week, he did have, in the first half, some really good holes opened up by the offensive line before the Kansas defense adjusted and basically crashed the line the second half and shut him down. He had 99 yards, Montgomery did, in the first half, but he had 11 in the second half. So, I mean, he was completely taken out of the game. We know what he's capable of. He's got pretty good breakout speed when he gets into that second level. He plays with decent amount of power for his size. And his complement running back is Jaden Nixon, who was originally a backup for Ollie Gordon at Oklahoma State before, being exiled for a year in the MAC, where he just absolutely blossomed, as a starter. This guy is fast. If he can get in the open field, watch out. He has multiple runs of 50-plus yards where if he can get to the outside and turn on those jets, watch out. And that's something that UCF has worked on between running plays, some screens. They'll line him up out wide just to get the ball in his hands. But this guy, he's got legs, and Cincinnati's going to have to maintain that outside containment if they're going to want to keep Nixon from breaking out a big run. Because I mean, he's already had one 87-yard run this season where he got to the outside, turned up, and that containment wasn't there, and he was gone to the races.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't get another. We don't want no big runs on Saturday. All right. So besides the running backs, is there a receiver or two or tight end that the Bearcats need to make sure that they have marked up on a consistent basis on Saturday?
So the skill positions are pretty talented on UCF squad. Going into the season, UCF had to retool basically almost their entire roster. They had over 60 guys that are brand new from the portal come in. So a lot of these players were question marks coming in. We didn't know a lot about them, but as the season's worn on, we've seen more and more. This is a very talented group. You have the leading receiver is Dwayne Thomas Jr., a smaller receiver, but this is a yak specialist. In fact, last week against Kansas, all his receiving yards were yards after catch. I mean, he did a lot of wide receiver screens, and he was able to avoid tackles. It was very good field vision. Definitely a guy to keep an eye for because he's just really good with the ball in his hands on the outside. And then you have DJ Black. DJ Black is an interesting player because of where he came from. He came from a Division II Limestone University, which actually closed its doors this spring permanently. And he actually transferred to UCF shortly before that was announced and happened. But this is a guy who did really well in Division II and has done a really good job being that more downfield threat for UCF. The UCF's biggest problem is the quarterback can't throw the ball to him. The passing is the issue, and that's why defenses have been stacking the line, crashing the line with 7-8 guys in the box, disrespecting the pass, and forcing UCF to have to go outside because they know they've got good running backs, and they know the offensive line is pretty suspect. Now for tight ends, UCF has two really good tight ends. One is Kylan Fox, who's one of the few holdovers from last season, and then Dylan Wade, a transfer from Maryland. Wade's a little bit beat up, and it actually impacted his play last week against Kansas. He struggled due to a shoulder injury to get his arms up to make a key catch, and it didn't work out. But these are both really talented tight ends, and they have run two tight end sets because of both of their skills.
Nice. All right, so hopefully the quarterback doesn't get the receivers the ball on Saturday. Miles can have a solid game. We don't have a great game.
I'm sure he's still going to be thrilled to be back home.
Yeah, he is. I know it. So that's going to be interesting to see. And then he has the compliment guy. So, yeah, we don't want you guys to get your first Big 12 dub on Saturday. So, yeah, wishing that you get one more week of, stuff not going smooth. And after that, figure it out.
Hey, they got West Virginia next week. So, I mean, that's a winnable game.
Oh, for sure. If it's supposed to happen, I think against West Virginia should be okay, right? I would think.
The goal is 6 wins at this point. You got West Virginia, you got Oklahoma State, and then not quite sure about Houston. Not quite sure what we're going to get out of that team.
Yeah, because Houston is pretty decent, so we'll see how that goes. But
that particular game, Cincinnati's never had the pleasure of being the victim of it, but UCF's space game is against Houston, and UCF is 8-0 in space games. Weird things happen. Like last year, they played Arizona with their 4th string quarterback and beat the tar out of them, and just weird things happen. And the only way you can describe it is just space game.
Okay, that's fair. So you got like 2 in a possible. Then the space game is automatic, like almost like a 70% chance, just because it's a space game.
Weird things happen, man. I mean, they just actually unveiled their uniforms for that. They do a lot of really custom uniform work. It's actually really cool if you get a chance to look. Because
I'm gonna check.
UCF, for those who don't know, UCF was formed as Florida Technological University in the 1960s as a feeder for NASA. And over time, they are still very heavily involved with the space program. They have a lot of partnerships. They are, one of the largest suppliers of engineers for NASA. Not so much in the astronauts, but engineers. And I think it was 29-30% of everyone at Kennedy Space Center is a UCF grad, which that's a lot of people. So. It started in 2017 as just a patch, but since 2018 on, they've customed their helmets, the full uniforms, and every year is very different. And they have a website for each one, webpage, and each feature of the uniform has a very specific reason for its design. This year, I think it's like a hyperspace theme, but they've had others based on the moon. They've had like hand painted helmets. I mean, there's some really cool stuff. They've won Uniswag's Uniform of the Year multiple times. These space game uniforms. I'm a uniform snob, particularly between collecting football ones and minor league baseball ones when they change their name to food items. I'm a jersey guy, and so the work that equipment staff puts into is just absolutely amazing. And you may not like the school, but you got to respect the game that they put in to design this stuff. So weird things happen at those games. So fingers crossed on that, because that may be the only 3 like real shots at wins they get. They have to pay Baylor away, they have to pay Texas Tech away, and BYU away. And that doesn't sound good. Originally, when we were looking at the schedule, we thought Cincinnati would be an easier matchup, and it apparently is not an easier matchup. Like I would not pick UCF to win this game. I'm gonna, just straight honest. I would pick Cincinnati to win this one, probably pretty handily.
Respect, yeah. At the beginning of the year, you thought this was one of those like, okay, UC has to win this game, but it's like could be a toss up, but they come out.
Not anymore.
Yeah, I was like, okay, because like. You see it, right? Just being honest, like last year they were successful, then it just falls apart, and then you see like the holes in the roster, and then you see them plug the holes, but you're like, is it going to happen? You know what I mean? And then you see it, and you're like, oh, like what I think could happen. You know, like it's happening. You know, they lose to Nebraska. You're like, but then you're like, you know what? They did fight them, and it was pretty much a road game. So you're like, okay.
And
Now
they had some
you're mad
tough players to replace. You know, like over the last couple of years, you had to replace Sauce, you had to replace Kobe Bryant. Really good defenders. That just don't fall from trees.
No.
Got very lucky that a guy like Sauce Gardner, went through, played at Nippert and just had an outstanding career. Still killing it in the NFL
for sure.
But it's kind of like RJ Harvey for UCF last year. I mean, you don't replace those guys. You hope to mitigate the loss of those players.
Yeah.
So, I think Cincinnati and Satterfield have done an amazing job of kind of turning the corner here.
No, for sure. 100%, man. Because you lose those type of guys. You're like, oh, man. But in general, like you think of, Kobe Bryant and, Sauce Gardner, Brian Cook, who played well last night, just those type of dudes that you saw on a consistent basis. And you're like, shoot, I mean, that's a different regime, of course. But, for people that don't know, like, the reason why the Bearcats got Sauce Gardner is because he was so small, like, far as weight, right? Like, all the big schools, like, I like him, but he's 150. You know what I mean? So they're like, like, what?
Diamond in the rough, man.
Diamond in the rough. And they probably wish they would have, a lot of people wish they would have just said, hey, we'll put the weight on him and took him, So that was a win for the Bearcats. So the other thing, and Brian Cook was a safety. He played corner at Howard. He's originally from Cincinnati, and then he switched to safety coming up back over. So it's just like, and now you see him in the NFL, like just having those ball skills and not afraid to hit. So
yeah. I mean, changing positions, it works. RJ Harvey was a quarterback at Virginia. Transfers to UCF, back home to Orlando, switches to running back, and while he missed the season due to injury in 21, he was very raw. But I mean, I saw in the spring game back then that this guy was going to be a stud. I mean, just an athletic freak. Sometimes a change of position will work wonders, and sometimes you get a guy that comes out of nowhere like an Antonio Gates. Played college basketball, never even played football, goes to the NFL and has an amazing career. Sometimes it's just those weird little things that just make, turns, water into wine, you find that golden moment.
Yeah, you ain't lying about that, man. Antonio, he just went to the Hall of Fame this year, right?
Yep.
It's crazy. I remember watching when he played for Kent State. I remember watching him in the NCAA tournament. Then they made like the Sweet 16 or something, I think, his senior year.
I believe they did. I believe they did.
He was a beast. I was like, man, this undersized dude is killing. He was like a double
Mm-hmm.
machine. And then he was like, he's gonna try out for the Chargers, and all that stuff. And then he was killing. And that's back when the game wasn't as wide open, and his numbers were like crazy. Super crazy for the Chargers.
And the rest is history.
Yeah. Now gold jacket guy. So all right, so we'll go on the other side of the ball, man, on defense. You guys are 3-2.
Now this is UCF's strength is in their defense.
Okay.
Yeah. So you got your guys up front. Now they lost Horace Lockett, their defensive lineman, against Kansas State. We found out he's out for the season after missing the Kansas game. But this is still a really, really talented defense. You have multiple guys on the defensive edge that are just havoc creators. Nigel E. Kelly, who was a one-time transfer from Miami, Sincere Edwards, who transferred from Pitt. These are guys that cause all sorts of problems. Isaiah Nixon, Malachi Lawrence. These are really good defensive ends that have some really good tackle ability. Coming into this season, because obviously UCF has a brand new staff and everything, but Alex Grinch is their defensive coordinator, and USC fans were just letting him have it because obviously things did not go well there. But this defense has done really well. Other than they gave 27 points against Kansas, but the go-ahead touchdown was on a 1-play 2-yard drive. I mean, can you really fault the defense on that?
No.
So if you're giving up 20 points or less, you can win any game. UCF this season, 5 games in, has yet to give up any points in the first quarter. They haven't done it. So this defense keeps finding ways to keep opponents off the board in the first quarter. So I mean, you got strong defensive ends, even without Horace Lockett, who's a defensive tackle. You still have players like John Walker and Rodney Laura and RJ Jackson. These are all really talented guys. One of the issues that UCF had last year was their inability to sack the quarterback. It took them like 4 or 5 games to even get a sack. Not a problem this time. They had 2 the first game, and they even found ways to sack Jalen Daniels, which is never easy. That boy can ball.
Yes.
He's real impressive. He had great touch on a lot of his passes that just kind of was able to float him over the defense. He was a tough one to kind of keep him in bounds, as far as from finding ways to just carve apart the defensive backs. Yeah. I mean, no one else has done real well, but that front line, they can cause a lot of problems for Sorsby and that front offensive line for Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that matchup. That's probably gonna be my favorite matchup of the game, because the Bearcats offensive line has, I mean, against Iowa State they dominated. Kansas, I thought they played very well. Even against Nebraska they did very well. But so they've only given up 1 sack, so I want to see how they look, against more pass rushers to see if it's the truth. I think it is. They're real physical. I've never seen. Normally, Iowa State is a team that's very physical, even if they're not that good. I just felt like the Bearcats, even though with the injuries, they punched them in the mouth, and they just looked like the more physical team and more ready team. So that was a real good sign. So I want to see how they do against you guys this front, because I know you guys can bring a lot of pressure, because Jalen Daniels, he lit the Bearcats up. Even in that win, I mean, he had over 400 yards passing. I mean, he was making plays everywhere. So I know how that feels to see him ball. He's a beast. Respect to Jalen Daniels for sure.
Yeah, he ended up throwing for 235 yards against UCF. No touchdowns, no picks. But it was the running game of his that never developed. Obviously we know how college football has that quirk about running yards. If you get sacked, it goes against your running yards. It drives me absolutely up a wall. But even taking that into consideration, 10 for 25. They kept, as a team, they had 3.8 yards a carry. The Jayhawks did. They were kept in check. They only gained 356 yards of offense. They were outgained by UCF by the end of the game.
Oh wow!
Part of that is each one had a quarter that they fell flat on their face. UCF in the third, where Kansas outscored them 13-0 to take a 6-point deficit and turn into a 7-point lead, and then Kansas in the fourth, where they gave up 12 yards, or they gained 12 yards. Didn't score any points, but their defense took care of the business. So UCF's defense is not my concern as a UCF writer. It's definitely the offense. But what I'm interested in seeing is Sorsby, seeing how he does against the defensive backs of this team, and if he can pick them apart, because they've been able to keep most quarterbacks in check. They actually knocked out, I think, 4 quarterbacks this year alone. The UCF defense through hits and stuff. I mean, none of it was dirty. It's just the way it's worked out. They knocked out Gio Lopez from North Carolina. They knocked out 3 different quarterbacks from North Carolina A&T. That game alone is cannon fodder for anyone who wants to say FCS should not play FBS, because that game was awful.
That's tough.
But the defensive backs versus Cincinnati's wide receivers and Brendan Sorsby, that I think is going to be real key. You got Philip Dunman, Antoine Jackson, Damari Henderson, Braden Marshall, the nickel back. This is a really good open field tackler. He had a number of really good open field tackles over the last couple of weeks that made, would be 13, 14-yard gains into maybe 2 or 3. Just real solid, play. He's not an edge guy. He's not an outside linebacker, but they kind of move him around a lot. In last year's defense, they had a flex position that kind of flexed between defensive back and linebacker. This year, it's a little more traditional nickel defense, but he still moves around a lot. So that's where the highlight's going to be. Is can those defensive backs, keep the game in front of them and force Cincinnati to have to, go into the trenches to win.
Yeah, that's a good highlight right there. Question. So you said Grinch has done a great job. And, they ran him out of USC.
Totally.
So like, what do you
tarred and feathered?
What did you? I mean, they literally ran him out of there. They sent him to another coast. He went from the West Coast to the East Coast.
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough, right? So sent him coast to coast, literally. So what do you attribute like the difference, from him? You saw how well at USC, and then where it is right now at UCF. Like, what do you feel like the personnel fits more what he's trying to do, or you just think he just got a raw deal at USC?
I think it's a bit of both. I think part of it is a raw deal. I don't think USC and UCLA have really benefited from a football standpoint in the Big Ten move. I think it's actually worked against them.
Yep.
Look at UCLA. I mean, granted, they had the big win against Penn State last week, but I mean, this is a program in shambles.
Yeah.
And it's only going to get worse because a lot of those guys are not going to stick around. They're going to, finish the year, and then they're going to go somewhere else where they have a chance. And that team has to basically rebuild. We've seen many, many times when coach gets fired, interim coach gets in, and those guys win one for the Gipper. They kind of, punch above their weight class, have a couple really good wins, do it, I did it for the Rock, kind of thing. But I mean, this is not a good team. USC's, fallen on hard times. Brent Venables, it just, he did so well at Oklahoma, and then it just, Lincoln Riley, did so well at Oklahoma, and then comes to the West Coast, and it's just not what you expected to be. And I think part of that is the travel, the mentality. Remember, Midwest football,
it's different.
You're covering Cincinnati. I'm from Ohio. We Midwesterners are a different breed.
Yep.
It's one reason why Scott Frost's style did not work in Nebraska. Couldn't recruit the right guys. I mean, he was offensive coordinator at Oregon and took that kind of style down to Florida. You can get that kind of player in Florida, the speed guy. And I think that's also what's helped, Alex Grinch on the defense is you can get a different kind of player down there compared to the West Coast. It's just a different style.
Yep.
And I think it just fits him a little bit better. And that's not to say that, USC was a bad, location or it wasn't a good fit. And you know what? That happens.
Yeah. Sometimes just certain things can't work for certain players. And then, that's it. You get those results, man. Some coaches don't adjust the same way to those players. They're like, this will work, but you know how it goes. That's life. But yeah. He definitely looks. I didn't even realize Alex Grinch was you guys' DC, just because I thought they kicked him out of college football. So I need to pay attention to the coordinators a little bit better.
They picked him up. The more surprising hire was Steve Cooper as offensive coordinator, who does not have a huge amount of coordinator experience. Scott Frost is calling the plays. So when the plays don't work, Scott Frost is the guy you have to blame. And he was very, very much aware of, I screwed up against Kansas. But this is a team that is still reeling from the death of Sean Clark, who was the offensive line coach for UCF, the former Appalachian State head coach. Had a medical emergency. earlier in September, and then with a couple weeks later, passed away. Kansas State was the first game they played without him. They've retooled the coaching staff. They had a guy who was a quality control staffer, Alex Farah Bear is his nickname, who was kind of like the hand-picked assistant by Clark. He's officially stepped in as a co-offensive line coach, and they brought in Danny Hope, who is former head coach of Purdue, who wasn't really doing anything, but Sean Clark coached as an assistant for him for 10 years in a couple different jobs. So they knew, obviously he knows the system, and they brought him on board between the two Kansas games to be the other offensive line coach. But this was a team that's still kind of reeling from it, and even more so position group. It's never good when you get brought up on college game day and they have to give a moment of silence at the end.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think at this point, like it's been a few weeks. Like what you see is what you get now.
Yeah,
and it's you can't teach size, you can't teach strength. What you see, that's all this line is going to be. So good, bad, or ugly, you got to run with who you got.
Oh, for sure, man. I know Coach Satterfield took it real hard because he worked with Sean Clark, and when that happened, he during the press conference, I think he even started it, with a comment and stuff, and you could tell he was super emotional about it. So that's
everyone,
yeah,
everyone seems to like. I never met Sean Clark; we just never crossed paths.
Yeah,
but everybody just absolutely loved the guy. Even here, Appalachian State, and even guys who are no longer there that went to other schools, like administrators, who are now at Georgia Tech or Troy. They all were just lining up, to talk about how awesome a man Sean Clark was. So my hope is now they have a helmet sticker to dedicate the rest of the season. My hope is that they find a way to turn around and kind of do it for him.
Yeah,
that would be the best send off you possibly can, is find a way to just you've dropped a couple of tough ones against the Kansas schools. Find a way to pick it up, salvage the season, because this is a rebuilding year. It's a full rebuild for UCF. Expectations were low, but you can't punt on 2025. It's still here, and they're very much still in the hunt. It's 3 wins and they go to a bowl game. I mean, that's a success. So it's like, it's far from over. So I know a lot of fans are kind of up in arms and giving up, but that's fans for you.
For sure. 100%.
This staff is still going. They're not giving up. They'd love to be more in Cincinnati's position, but that might be 1 or 2 years down the road.
Hey man, it's been a long couple of years. So happy to be. I know the staff is happy to be where they're at. They kind of said it was going to be a rebuild type of thing, retooling, and it seems like everything that they're doing is coming to fruition. But if you guys get to 6 wins, you said that would be a success. Do you feel like the fan base would feel it's a success, or like the?
I do.
Is that okay?
I do. Coming into this at the introductory press conference, even Scott Frost said, this is not going to be a win quick scheme. It's not going to. The football universe has changed. He even said after the Kansas game in the post-game press conference that he feels this is a lot like 2016. Team went 6-7. They went 6-6 and then lost the bowl game. They had a number of games where they were the better team. They should have won, and they didn't. They had Maryland on the ropes. They lost in overtime. They kind of gave that one up. Temple, they got lost in a squeaker. This is the team that in 2016, which was Frost's first season at UCF, the first time around, was a team that needed to learn how to win. They didn't have it. A lot of parallels there. This is a team now that doesn't really know how to win and put away. You're up, 2 scores. You got to, put your foot on the throat, get to that 3-score margin before you start coasting. And they had 2 chances to do it, and they failed. As Frost said, if the first 2 drives of the second half went a little bit better, this game would be completely different. UCF fell flat on their face after, kicking a last-second field goal in the first half, up by 6 with getting the second half kick. Like, that's the momentum that you want, and they did nothing with it. And that's that, that killer instinct, that assassin mentality. It's just not there.
Understandable. So we're gonna ask you for a prediction, man. On Saturday, what you got? What's going on? What's going to happen on Saturday if you were betting your money?
Well, so the last time Scott Frost coached against Cincinnati in Nippert, the game lasted 3 quarters.
I remember that.
They ended it because there was pointless to play the 4th quarter because of the weather delay and everything.
The weather delay, it was crazy. Yeah,
it wasn't close. Like, this game's done.
Yeah.
I think this game will be largely decided in 3 quarters the other way. I think Cincinnati should win, maybe by the score of 24-9 or 24-10, maybe 31-10. I don't see UCS offense really getting into a groove. I'll be pleasantly surprised because none of these quarterbacks have any deep shot accuracy. It's just, if it happens, it's more like by chance than by design. And I don't think they will win or even stay in this game if they can't find a way to throw it down deep, because Cincinnati's not going to respect the pass if they don't. They're going to crash the line. They're going to UCF's going to keep trying to run the ball. It's not going to work, and they're just going to fall further behind. There's a good defense, but there's only so much you can do if the offense is not there for you. So I think no less than 2 touchdowns. Cincinnati should win this game.
All right. Hey, Bearcat Nation. I think we like that prediction.
I don't, but I got to be objective.
That's fair. Because I literally, let's see, what game was that? I think Kansas. I'm glad I was wrong, but I was like, hey, I think the Bearcats lose a close game because that's what they did last year, lose a close game. But it was a close game and they pulled it out. So I'm like, hey, if I'm going to predict and be wrong, I'd rather it be that wrong. But I feel the same. I think the Bearcats, especially with the quarterback troubles you guys have, the teams that have been giving them trouble have solid quarterback play. And without the solid quarterback play, I think the Bearcats will be able to kind of squeeze UCF. And after a while, the defense will get tired. And then once the defense gets tired,
game over.
Yeah.
It's over after that.
Because right now, it's too many people that can stab you on the offensive side, especially with the way Sorby's playing and the O-line is playing. So, after a while, it's kind of like a death of 1,000 cuts. If it's not the running backs, the receivers, and then if it's Joe Royer, it's just a lot of people that can you got to be accounted for. So,
I hope I'm wrong.
So I think the same. I think the Bearcats get this one and go to 5-1 and 3-0 before they go against Oklahoma State's next. Nice.
Oh, that's so soon be 6-1. Okay, got it.
Yeah, so that's good. And you get Baylor at home for homecoming. So that's going to be interesting. That's a good one. That's the one that's winnable, but it's going to be one of those ones. I think it's going to be a shootout.
Baylor's offense, man, they can put up some points.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But it's kind of one of those ones where at the beginning of the season, you were like, man, I think that's a for sure loss. And now I'm like, hey, this is a game that they can win. They can lose it too, but it's a game that's attainable. But to ask me August 27th, I would have said Baylor was a loss, like flat out. But hey, that's why they play the games, right?
I would say if you asked me in August, I thought Scott Satterfield would be starting to get his box packed. I thought he was gonna. I thought this was it. Because of how the last couple seasons have gone. I thought, okay. Wasn't a big fan of the hire because it looked like Louisville was going to fire him anyway. So I was but I mean, lo and behold, trust the process. I guess this is what the 76ers should have done. Trust the process because it's whatever he did, it's working.
No, for sure. Because like you said, it was one of those ones you're like kind of scratch your head a little bit. You're like, man, it's the room temperature is getting real hot. And then, if you start off, 2-3, besides being, 4-1, everybody's looking like, I don't know. But you lose to Nebraska. So, like, even though that was a good game, you're still like, uh-oh, right? And then everybody's saying the right things. And then you're like, okay, they beat Bowling Green. Okay, they're supposed to win that game. They play Northwestern State, and that wasn't even fair. But so that one's just like, okay, cool, but did it really do
Show me
anything?
something.
Yeah. Then they play Kansas on the road, and you're like, okay, can they hang with them? You know what I mean? And then they went
Mhm.
out there, especially with no Dante Corleone, and then they pull off the dub, and it's like, man, this team looks like a well-oiled machine. So you're like, maybe those 2 games did mean something, and in that game on the road, it was a home game, but it was a road game because it was, man, I went and it was literally, if it was, I forgot, I think that it was sold out. I feel like if there were 78,000 in there, 75 to 74 was Nebraska fans.
I mean, that's just how it happens.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Nebraska, I mean,
I didn't realize they travel like that. It was crazy.
I mean, they travel. I remember in 2017 when they were trying to court Scott Frost, they're buying tickets to UCF home games with signs, "Please come home." They travel.
I did not understand. Like, it was literally, the band was playing. It was so loud. They drowned the band out. They drowned our band out. Literally, you could not hear the band. All you could hear was the fans screaming, saying "Go Big Red."
That's wild.
It was crazy. It was crazy. I think I got it on my phone. It was a crazy experience just to see. I'm like, this is next level. So much respect to them. They were like comment on everything, YouTube, talking stuff. It was cool. It was a cool experience for sure, man. So
that's why we play the game.
For sure, 100%, man. Hopefully your prediction is right, and if so, I'll be happy. Not gonna complain. It don't have to be pretty. Just get a win. Cool, man. So I appreciate your time, Andrew. Let everybody know where they can find your work, where they can talk stuff to you on social media. They shouldn't really talk like too crazy to you since you did predict the UC win. You know what I mean? Hey.
Well, I mean, so I'm born and raised in Cleveland, so I definitely am all for Cleveland Cincinnati trash talk. I mean, the Bengals just took the Browns trash. I mean, Joe Flacco.
I was just about to say, how do you feel about that, actually?
Oh, man, Cleveland fleeced them for a 5th rounder. Absolutely fleeced them. Desperate times call for desperate measures. I'm all for it. Go Browns. But on another note, Dylan Gabriel played 3 seasons at UCF. So he was injured for most of 21, but 19 and 20, he played the full season. So I've seen lots of him. So while he didn't finish at UCF, I'm interested to see how his career plays out. But you can catch my work on online at UCFnightzone.com. I'm a frequent guest on Locked On UCF with Mike Gittins. And you can catch me on Twitter /X, whatever you want to call it, at Statboy Drew. And, I love just, chatting, talking, about sports in general. So like, my Cleveland Guardians getting to the postseason, obviously the Reds getting there too. Yeah. Both teams kind of folded quite quickly after that. But you know what?
I got to win at least.
They made it.
Yeah, they made it. I'll take it. I just hope that will strive the front office to use another 40 more million next year, because not the Bearcats, but Reds need a power bat, one consistent power bat that can hit 35 or more home runs, and then maybe they need 2 bats, honestly, but they need one
to protect Ellie De La Cruz.
Yeah, yep, they need Ellie, and then I think you got enough young people where I think they get a full season, they could play better. I feel like Marte can be close to being that kind of guy. I
love the work Tito's done. I was sad to see him retire from Cleveland. Obviously, the Guardians did well bringing in Stephen Vogt, but I love Tito, and to see him back managing again, it warms my heart. And even though they're the other team in Ohio, since they're in the other league, I am happy to see the Reds kind of make a comeback after multiple years, just disappointment after disappointment.
Yeah, we got some hope, man. So that's all that matters, because it's sad. I hope I'm old enough to see them win. I hope I don't pass before they win a World Series again, because they won in 90. I was
in Cleveland, we have a say, and it's usually more geared towards football. Aside from wait till next year, once before I die. So, I mean, we had the Cavaliers win in 2016, and I'll be honest, I cried when that happened. but the Browns haven't won an NFL championship since 1964.
Yeah.
The Guardians/Indians haven't won the World Series since 1948. They now own the longest, drought since the Cubs won in 16. So yeah, the fact that they got in the playoffs at all this year was just amazing. The huge 15.5 game comeback and 11 games back in September was just unheard of. But at that point, it became house money, and the luck ran out. So hopefully they spend some money because they're notoriously cheap.
Yeah, they are.
Well, we got basketball, so at least the Cavaliers will do something.
See, it's all about our college sports here because we don't got any hoops. So yeah, man. And for the people that are Bengals fans, they're wallowing. I'm a 49er fan, but since I live in Cincinnati, I want them to do well because the town's just a better place when the Bengals are winning. And yeah, man, they got Flacco, and I mean,
it's gonna be so weird to see him in the stripes.
Played so bad that they were like, "Shit, just give me Flacco." But I don't know why they didn't try to go. Like, I would have went for like Winston though, personally.
Yeah, and you're not the only person who thought that. Like, go after Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston. I'm wondering if the asking price was too high or Flacco learns playbooks really fast.
Yeah.
He can come in really come in quickly. Problem is, he's 40 years old and can't move. You know what you're going to get. But he's smart. He's a little more savvy than Browning. The weird thing is Browning had such a good year last year when he had to step in for Joe Chill. Yeah. And it
was fool's gold, man.
Fool's gold.
It was fool's gold.
That Pac-12 mentality.
I called it, man. I was like, it's fool's gold. And everybody was like, Browning's gonna be fine. I was like, all right, I'll let you. I'm like, trust me. Like, I'm not trying to be a hater. I was like, y'all, it's too many games. Like, if it was about 6 games, I'll be like, okay, he might be okay. But Browning's
it's a competitive division.
It's winnable. It's still winnable for him. With the Ravens kind of wallowing like that. Even if the Browns can kind of snap out of it, their defense is so damn good.
They were so close against Minnesota. They had the game 1. They should have beat Cincinnati.
The kicker lost that one.
This is a team that's not far away. It's just, obviously Dylan Gabriel first game as a starter. Yeah. Can he get a little more comfortable game 2? Minnesota's a tough defense. You're playing in London. Just everything's kind of working against you. Yeah. But the fact that Vegas still has Baltimore at 1-4 as the team to beat just shows how exposed this division is. Yeah. And that's why Cincinnati went and got themselves Joe Flacco. It's like they'll do anything. They gave up a lot. They gave up, they got a 6th rounder back. They gave up a 5th rounder. That's a steep price to pay. Yeah. It could have been easily Flacco for a 7th rounder, and it would have worked. So, that's why I was saying Cleveland fleeced him, man, because he was not going to play for the Browns again unless someone got hurt.
Oh, for sure, 100%. To be able to get something of value for Flacco that's great job for Cleveland. But the thing is, the Bengals have done such a crappy job on drafting. They probably would have blew that 5th round pick. Probably would have been like a punter or something. Who knows? Just saying.
For the Browns, it was Shedeur Sanders. Now he's up to second string, and a lot of people on the internet are losing their mind. They're like, "Oh, it's coming! It's coming!
It's going to happen."
I'll be honest. I don't think he's ready. I think he has too many bad habits from college that he has to work on.
He does have some bad habits.
He holds on the ball too long. He's willing to take a sack to keep his completion percentage high. That's not the right mentality in the NFL. You throw the ball away. Could he be a decent quarterback? Absolutely. He just needs time and training, and that's what they're working on. And he doesn't have to be out there year 1, and that's why I think that some teams kind of shied away because they didn't want to deal with that aspect.
Yeah.
But he could be a good player. We've seen flashes of potential, just haven't quite seen him put them together yet.
Yep. For sure. So we'll see what happens. He's one hit away from being out there.
One hit away.
Hey, we'll see what happens. It's going.
Cincinnati's one hit away from Jake Browning coming back. What are they going to use? Put Brian Rippon in? I think he's the third string quarterback.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough down to 71 South right now for sure.
Oh man,
it's
you take
rough.
71. You take 71 one way. You go to one train wreck. You go to the other. You get another train wreck.
Yep, north or south. So cool, man. Well, I appreciate you. I know we start rambling at the end, man.
We have fun
for sure. So, are you popping up on Saturday or? Yeah,
No. Logistically, it wouldn't work out.
Okay.
I'll be in the next time I'll be in Ohio will be after the regular season's done.
All right.
So, nope, no northern trips for me during the season.
Cool, man. Well, guys, make sure you guys check my man Drew out. Hit him up if the Bearcats win. Make sure you appreciate him for picking us to win.
And if they lose, I can't take the fault for that.
Don't blame me, guys. Don't blame me if they lose. All right, guys. Well, I'm JT Smith, and we signing out.